You may have achieved financial freedom, but you're haunted by a single thought, that the years ahead will be wasted. It's a feeling people rarely talk about, but it's deeply felt by so many who've crossed that threshold of 60. And it's not about your finances or even your health, not really. It's about time. So in this explainer, we're going to dive into this feeling, we're going to give it a name, and most importantly, we're going to lay out a clear, actionable framework to transform it.
This thought right here, this is really the heart of the matter. It's a heavy one, isn't it? And it can just linger in the quiet moments of the day. I mean, you've worked your whole life, you've planned everything so carefully, and you've reached the point where you should be enjoying the fruits of your labor. But instead of just pure relief, there's this nagging whisper, a little voice that suggests that without the structure of your career, the future feels kind of uncharted and maybe even a little empty. Look, this is not a sign that you're ungrateful, it's a deeply human response to a profound life change.
Well, this feeling actually has a name, time anxiety. It's that silent, creeping fear that your remaining time is going to be wasted, that you'll become irrelevant, or that you'll just fade into a life of watching from the sidelines instead of actually participating. Just giving it a name is the first step, because it takes it out of the shadows. It proves it's not some personal failing, it's a recognized psychological phenomenon. And because we can understand it, we can build a strategy to turn it into a powerful force for a vibrant, fulfilling life.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll really unpack this fear of wasted time. Then, we'll get into the brain's fundamental need for novelty. This part is fascinating. From there, we'll see how anxiety can actually be a powerful signal for action, which leads us to a really practical dual mission framework. We'll talk about what it means to build a legacy of vibrancy, and we'll wrap it all up with a simple but life-changing 20-minute commitment. Sound good? Let's get started.
All right, so this first section gets right to the core of that hidden truth. You see, the fear of wasted time, it isn't really a fear of death. No, it's a fear of an unlived life. It's the fear of days just slipping by without any real meaning or engagement. It's that unsettling feeling when you compare a past that was packed with deadlines and goals to a future that can feel like a big blank canvas. Our goal here is to give you the brush and the paint to fill that canvas with purpose. Now, to really get a handle on time anxiety, we first need to understand where it's coming from. Because it's not just a vague feeling. It has deep roots in our psychology and, believe it or not, our neurology. So let's take a look at what's really changing in your brain and your life after you leave the 9-to-5 world behind. And just to be clear, this is not about decline, it's about a fundamental shift in the kind of input your brain is getting every day. For decades, most of us run on a kind of professional life script, right? We know what's expected. Go to work, solve problems, hit targets, maybe get a promotion. That script gives us structure, a sense of identity, and constant feedback. Then, all of a sudden, the script is gone. And along with it goes that external validation. You know, the praise from a boss, the respect from colleagues, that feeling of a job well done. This can create a vacuum, something we call a passive void in daily life. And it's this void that gives rise to that feeling of boredom and the fear of becoming irrelevant. And this brings us to a really key psychological idea, stagnation. Now, this isn't just being lazy. It's a genuine crisis state where you feel stuck, totally disconnected from your own personal growth, and you're just not sure of your purpose anymore. It's that feeling that you're no longer contributing or developing in a way that matters. Time anxiety is basically the alarm bell that warns you when you're drifting towards stagnation. It's your mind's way of shouting, hey, we need a new mission down here. And there's a real biological reason for all of this. Our brains are literally wired for novelty. They thrive on new information, new skills, and new challenges. You see, the process of learning and adapting, it actually creates new neural pathways. And that's what keeps our minds sharp and agile. So when the daily challenges of a career just disappear, the brain can get, well, a little bored. It's not getting the stimulation it craves. That restless feeling, that's your brain asking for a workout. It's asking for a new puzzle to solve. So here's the crucial takeaway. This feeling isn't some flaw in your character. It's a completely natural biological response to a massive life change. It's your brain doing exactly what it's supposed to do, sending you signals that its environment has changed and it needs a new kind of engagement. Realizing this is incredibly empowering. It shifts the question from what's wrong with me to, okay, what's my next move? So if this is all just a natural response, what in the world can we do about it?
And that question brings us to our core lesson, the big aha moment that can change everything. We're going to stop looking at this anxiety as an enemy we need to defeat and start seeing it as an incredibly valuable source of information and energy.
Let this one really sink in for a second.
Your time anxiety is not a problem to be eliminated. It is a signal for re-engagement. Think of it as your mind and body's built-in motivational system. It's telling you that it's time for a new chapter, a new project, a new purpose. It's the call to action you've been waiting for, it's just disguised as discomfort. Once you see it that way, you can harness its energy instead of letting it drain you. The goal isn't to feel nothing. The goal is to channel that feeling into something productive and fulfilling.
The strategy for doing this is called strategic substitution. It's the conscious, deliberate choice to replace that aimless, passive leisure time with active, purpose-driven missions. Now, this is not about filling every single second of your day. It's just about being intentional. And here's why it works. Active missions, like learning, creating, or teaching, they stimulate the brain's dopamine reward pathway. Dopamine is that neurotransmitter of motivation and pleasure. So when you schedule a challenge and you make a little progress, your brain rewards you with a hit of dopamine, which in turn makes you want to do it again. You are literally rewiring your brain for engagement and satisfaction. This comparison really lays it all out. Over on the left, you've got passive leisure. We're talking about aimless routines, predictable comfort, time that's just being spent. It might feel nice in the short term, but over time, it leads directly to that state of stagnation we talked about. Now look at the right, active missions. These are scheduled challenges, the pursuit of novelty, time being actively invested in your own growth and your contribution to the world. This is the path that leads to fulfillment. The whole idea is just to move from the left column to the right, one small intentional step at a time.
So what do these active missions actually look like? Well, they tend to fall into two key categories. The first one is contribution, or what psychologists call generativity. This is that deep human need to guide the next generation, to share the wisdom you've collected over a lifetime. It could be mentoring a young person, volunteering for a cause you care about, teaching a skill to your grandkids, even just writing down your family history. It's all about making your experience count for others. This kind of mission provides a really profound sense of purpose and legacy. The second category is mastery, or what you can just think of as growth. Now, this mission is all about you. It's the pursuit of learning something new, just for the sake of challenging yourself and expanding what you can do. This could be anything. Learning a musical instrument, finally becoming fluent in another language, taking up woodworking, mastering a complex recipe, you name it. This mission directly feeds your brain's need for novelty and challenge, which is fantastic for preserving your mental agility and reinforcing your sense of competence.
Okay, so we understand the why, the brain's need for novelty, and we understand the what, strategic substitution through missions of contribution and mastery. Now for the most important part, the how. This is the practical, step-by-step toolkit to actually put this framework into action in your own life, starting, well, today. There are 4 really clear steps. First, do a novelty audit. Just take an honest look at your weekly routine. Where has it become a little too comfortable, a little too predictable? Identify those areas of passive void. Step 2, define your dual missions. Brainstorm one mission in contribution and one in mastery that genuinely excites you. What wisdom do you want to share? What skill do you want to learn? Get them down on paper. Step 3 is the secret sauce. Institute the 20-minute action rule. The biggest hurdle is just starting, so commit to spending just 20 minutes a day on one of your missions. That's it. It's small enough that it's not intimidating, but it's powerful enough to build real momentum. And finally, step 4 is the time review. Once a month, just look at your calendar and ask yourself, was my time actively invested or passively spent? This keeps you honest and lets you make adjustments along the way. As you start to use this framework, it's really important to keep the long-term perspective in mind. This is not about frantically filling up your schedule. It's about a gentle but profound shift in how you relate to your time and your own potential. The goal is to build a legacy, not just of accomplishments, but of pure vibrancy. So let's circle back to that initial fear, that time anxiety. With this new perspective, we can finally see it for what it truly is, a natural, powerful motivator. It's not a weakness, it's actually a strength. It's the engine that's nudging you off the sidelines and back into the game of life, but this time on your own terms. It's the call to action to consciously and intentionally build a future defined by engagement, purpose, and continued growth. And you know, the rewards for answering that call are huge. This isn't just about feeling busy. It's about real, tangible benefits. Actively pursuing novelty and challenge is one of the absolute best things you can do to preserve your mental clarity and agility. It reinforces a positive self-image, reminding you every single day that you are still a capable, growing, and valuable person.
It ensures your leader years are defined not by what you've lost, but by what you're still building. And all of this leads to a deep, profound emotional satisfaction that only comes from a life that's being well lived, right up to the very end. Okay, let's bring all of this together into one final actionable takeaway. Because, understanding is good, but action is what really creates change. So think of this as a gentle challenge to move you from listening to doing.
If you remember only one thing from our time together, please let it be this. The fear of wasted time is your signal. It's your friend. And the antidote is simple, even if it's not always easy. The consistent, deliberate pursuit of novelty and contribution. It's about choosing to be the author of your next chapter, rather than just a reader. So, here it is. Here is your challenge. Before you go on with your day, just pause for a moment. Think about that mastery mission, that skill you've always kind of wanted to learn. Maybe it's painting or coding or playing the guitar. Now, identify the very first 20-minute step you can take tomorrow to begin. Will you watch a tutorial? Order a beginner's kit online? Read the first chapter of a book? Whatever it is, commit to that single, small, 20-minute action. That is how you begin. So, in the end, it really comes down to a choice. Remember that silent fear of stagnation? It's not a sign of weakness. It's a natural call to action from a brain that is hungry to learn and engage. We've seen that the most powerful way to answer that call is by replacing passive leisure with a scheduled mission, something in the world of contribution or mastery. By prioritizing novelty and purpose, even for just 20 minutes a day, you actively choose a retirement that is defined not by the past, but by a future filled with vitality, growth, and profound emotional satisfaction. The power to shape that future is in your hands.